Welcome to Trentendo. I'm Trentendo, and I decided to build a 10-foot dice tower. Kevin, thanks for joining me today.
Yeah.
That felt natural. What is a dice tower? Some of you, namely my mom, is probably going to ask, although I'll probably tell my mom 100 times what a dice tower is.
Yeah.
So, if you're playing tabletop games, D&D, Pathfinder, all these other amazing tabletop RPGs, you got to roll some dice. And everybody's got their character sheets, they got their books, and then you got dice, and sometimes you don't have a whole lot of room on the table.
Small table or a lot of pieces on the board that could tip over if you throw them too hard.
And we've played in games where there's been like 9 people around a table. So big that people would have to they do their turn and then go sit somewhere else and wait for their turn. Tabletop real estate is kind of valuable.
And I also have a lot of friends that don't have a lot of hand control, so they just chuck it like a baseball and it just always goes off the table.
I am working on an idea, and I'm going to say it here so that way nobody steals it, or if they do, they owe me money, but dog food, dog treats in the shape of dice.
Ooh.
So if you lose it, dog just eats it.
That's good.
Normally you get a dice tower kind of like this. This one's from a local store called I'm Bored, great gaming store, and it's just got a tube, like a rectangular tube that's got little vents. I've been calling them flappy doodles.
Flappy doodles.
And randomizers. So when you drop a dice in there, bounces around, and then you have your dice at the bottom. You can also keep your dice in there. It kind of keeps it neat and contained. I thought it would be funny to make one for a friend of ours, because we play D&D. He plays on a table. It's about this high. It's a really tall table, and he's also really tall. And I thought it would be funny to make a dice tower that's even taller than that, so he has to reach up to drop dice down into it. This is a metal one. Let's see how that does.
And the flaps are offset like this, so it bounces down as you go down and it's shaking it right for you.
Like Plinko or something.
Yeah.
But thought it was so dumb, I thought he would just laugh and then throw it away, but he still uses it. And then Kevin saw it and liked it so much, I made one for Kevin. And this one's my roommate, so I ended up making 3 of these dice towers. It's all foam core and duct tape and super glue. All I did was I just cut out the sides. It's as wide as a normal sheet of foam core. And then I cut everything, stuck together like a U shape, and then cut out the little flappy doodles, glued them in, glued on the front, taped it with a bunch of spangly tape and everything.
Yeah, I love it.
And so now there's all these people that have these obnoxious dice towers because it takes forever to roll one.
You've kind of become an entrepreneur.
Well, except that it's cost me money and time because I don't want to charge for this stuff. It's just for my friends. I'm not going to start an Etsy store.
You gotta start an Etsy store.
Hell no. Kevin and I were talking about it. I had a bunch of other ideas, like dice towers that were wide, like as wide as like a cereal box. So it'd have to go and it'd be like the most annoying thing. It would take up so much room. And Kevin brought up the fact that sometimes these smaller dice, like the little D4s, they're like, I can't pick it up because super cool in my hands. They're like little pyramids. So we were worried that one of these would get stuck in something wide, but one of these is just fine. And so Kevin, I think, was the one that said we could do like a 1-story dice tower.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that sounds awful. I don't want to do it. I started doing the math in my head, and I was like, we could do it for and I started doing the math of how much this costs. If you already have just duct tape laying around, foam core's like $3 a sheet. Glue is a few dollars a bottle. And so Kevin and I decided that it was totally doable to make a 10-foot dice tower. It did occur to me, other people said it as well, and it occurred to me to apply for a Guinness World Records for this. I did apply for it, and I never heard back from them. So, Guinness, if you're watching this, you didn't get back to me, but you don't have a record for this, so technically I have the world's tallest dice tower.
Yeah.
All right, check it out. We'll show you how we built it. All right, to make this dice tower, you're going to need 6 sheets of foam core, some kind of a straight edge. You're going to need an X-Acto blade, number 11 blade inside of it. Extra box of blades and something to put them in because we don't want to hurt someone taking out the garbage. Get all your materials together, and then we get the fun process of peeling the stickers off of the foam core, which, let me tell you, is as fun as it looks. I thought about leaving the entire footage in of me peeling them, but I'm going to save you some time. I'm going to measure right here all my slats that I'm going to cut. 10-foot tall, front and back are going to be 3.5 inches wide, the sides 1.5 inches. To get enough slats to glue together, and also I'm doubling up the thickness of all the sides, you're going to need 16 that are 3.5 inches tall by the 20. Oh, watch out for your thumb there. Oh, you got it. Then you're also going to need another 16 that are the 1.5 inch. To make it all the way to 10 foot, you're going to need 4 sections that are 8 inches wide, that are the 3.5 inch, and then some that are the 1.5 inch. It's just because Well, do the math. 28 inches is going to get you up to 112 inches. You need the 8 extra inches. It's math. I did it. Trust me. I wrote it all down on a sheet of paper. And it's right there. You can see it next to all this foam core that we cut. Now, I'm doing kind of a brick pattern with this. I didn't want any of the seams to match up because that could be a weak point, and I didn't want it to like topple over. Honestly, I didn't really know how this was going to come together. I was just worried it was going to fall to pieces. So I start with a short piece and a long piece, glue it on there, put lots of glue. This is a 30-second drying cyanoacrylate glue, crazy glue, whatever you want to call it. Some people like to use like an activator that kicks the glue to spray on there. It could have saved me a little bit of time, but it only had a 30-second dry time with this, and so it was totally fine. There's some at my local store. And there we have it. We got the front and the back. We got the side here and the side there. Now, they're a little rough, because even with a straight edge, had some issues, but it kind of averaged out. All right, now it's time to make the dice tray. I put out a little mat here, another piece of foam core we had left over. Long straight edge, short straight edge, another X-Acto blade. Be careful with the used blades in that tin can. Pair of scissors, extra blades, and we're being safe about it. I'm just going to cut out a rectangle here, and it really doesn't matter how big you make it. You just want it bigger than the base. So you can make it like a really wide one, really long one. If you're making a short dice tower, then this is what's going to stand it up. This is just going to be wedged under there, so I don't need it to really be a certain size. I'm cutting into the top piece of paper on the foam core, because foam core is just 2 pieces of paper with foam stuck in the middle. I don't want to cut through both sides because I want to have a little hinge on each side. Take it and fold it, give it a good crease so you got your nice lines, so that way when you flip it over, take your X-Acto blade and cut out these little corners here, just right there on the edge of it. You don't have to be super straight with it, super precise. We're going to be covering this with tape in a minute. These little corner pieces are great too to save. If you don't have a tin can, you can use these to put your used blades in and keep them from poking through the trash can. Now I'm going to measure how wide the bottom is. I'm going to get some of the spangliest spangly tape, and then I'm going to block it with my hand so you can't see what it looks like while I'm getting it ready. Look at the precision on that beard. This tape's really cool. It kind of goes on like window tint, because if it gets air bubbles, you can actually poke them and smooth them out. Luckily, I didn't have any real air bubbles that day, just smoothed out. And then I got a nice little shimmery bottom for my dice tray here. If you just wanted to make a dice tray, you'd be almost done. You wouldn't have to do all this other stuff. We're going to add a little bit of ska element here, just because why not? The other dice trays I made, I used the same kind of taping pattern. I would use the checkerboard at the bottom. It's mostly because I had it. Why did I have checkerboard tape? Well, my mom buys me tape for Christmas. Now, once we have this nice little bowl made, you want to cut little slits in the sides here. You don't want to go all the way down to the bottom. You want to leave the inside so it holds it together, and then we can fold over the top. It gives us a nice little wrap. And so if you didn't cut it exactly straight, it's going to smooth that out a little bit. And then we're going to wrap the tape around the side. If you really have time and you really feel like you could match stuff like this up, you could do a pattern so it looks like the whole thing is one thing. Some of the sides I did, some of them I didn't. I just kind of wanted to get this finished up. And at the bottom, I just give it little hospital corners like you're folding a bed or making up a bed. You could fold your bed too, I guess. And now you have a dice tray. I'm just going to make sure it's going to actually work, so I'm just going to pour enough dice to play one game of D&D. Looks like it works. And then you invite a friend over that likes to say the word wiener into the camera. There it is. Need more glue. Way more glue. I actually ran out of glue doing just the slats, so I went back to the store. I bought way more bottles. I start out with the duct tape and stretch it out. So you got 2 tables to make the 10-foot length. And you're just going to pick up one slat, put it over on the tape, and leave about half the tape sticking out. This will make sense in a moment. Or some of you probably already figured it out. It's not rocket science. It's a dice tower. Smooth it out. Make sure it's nice and stuck. Get your glue out. And you do not want to cross the streams. Start tip to tip and go end to end. Now I want to take the side. I'm going to stick it on at a 90-degree angle. It's going to be a little lumpy, a little curvy, so just kind of mold it into place. Hold it in a couple of really good spots where it'll actually catch. Give it 30 seconds, and then fold up the tape on one side. It's going to make a nice little clamp at the same time while the glue is also drying. Once you got that, do the other side. Don't cross the streams. Get the glue on there, stick it on, hold it, count to 30, and then you do the same thing with the tape. You can really take your time and make sure you don't get any folds in the tape, but it's kind of hard over a length like 10 feet. So now I'm going to take that last piece of foam core we got that we also took our dice tray out of. I'm going to cut a few more slats. These are going to be as wide as the walls of this dice tower are tall. These are going to be what I talked about, the randomizers or the flappy doodles. I believe we each cut the full length of these. We didn't measure how long we were doing it. We measured it to see how it was going to test fit inside of this. Given that we had doubled up the foam core for the walls, I wasn't exactly sure how we would want it. I just took a dice and made sure that it could pass through all the little places. And I'm just kind of pre-laying these out. This will give us an idea to make sure that we had enough. Tip, if you're making any size dice tower and you're doing this, always cut more than you think you need. Because it always happens, you lay them out, and when you actually start gluing them in, you actually end up needing more. So you can see we have tons of extras there. Same glue, Kevin's working one end, I'm working the other, just gluing on two sides and sticking them in. What's great is if you can get the little flappy doodles the same height exactly, you can add glue to those too when you put on the front, and it's one more sticking point. With these, we just made sure it's stuck on two sides. That glue holds very, very well. It's just dice coming down through here. And a little ramp at the bottom to kind of kick it out. So give a little pep talk to your friend there and give them some more tape and do the tape maneuver. Stick it halfway on. And you're going to do it on both sides for this as well, but you're only going to stick one side to start out with. It's going to make a hinge, so instead of doing glue and then sticking it on, we're actually going to stick the tape on first. I'll kind of show you what I mean here. Sit down on top, fold the tape down, get it nice, and you really want to make sure this corner is on there as good as you can because it's really going to help you out in a few minutes. And flip it back over, and you got a nice little tape hinge. And this time you're going both sides. You can cross the streams. Look at the precision and care of these two boys. Get your glue all the way on both sides. Flip it over. Tape it down. You want this one also to be very, very tight. This is going to be holding it in place while it's drying. And then you get to decorate. More tape. We got this nice Trentendo blue and yellow going on here. We ran out of the blue tape, so just to let you know, a size like this will run an entire roll of duct tape. And then we just kind of covered that up, did the sides in the yellow. I knew it wasn't going to be enough to do all the sides anyways. So yeah, 2 rolls of duct tape should do you, and you'll have a little bit left over on the second one. Now this is for 2 reasons why I'm measuring it here. One, to make sure we actually hit 10 feet and my math was okay. It's actually 10 foot 1 inches at the shortest point at the top. I'm going to go in here. I made marks at every foot because I want to show a little bit of scale for if anybody takes pictures of it, things like that. And I'm just going to wrap a piece of tape every foot marker. Gives it a little, contrast, lets you see where it is, gives an idea of scope. And now I'm going to take our dice tray that we made. This is our first flight, like our first landing, bottom of our stairs. Drop it down there. It almost looks like we're doing something important, like putting an I-beam into a building, but really it's just something to play board games with.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I was pretty excited that it worked. I was really worried it was going to get stuck in there. And we also timed it too. It takes 5.5 full seconds to actually get to the bottom. And we've since actually added a house rule to all of this. If you decide you want to use the giant dice tower, you can roll your dice at it. And if you can make it down to the bottom of the stairs by the time that you get to where the dice is, you actually get to add a couple of points to your roll. Just a house rule, just for some fun here. I had a really good shot of our handrail. That's awesome. And here it is. There's the top view down of our dice tower. And there you have it. Thank you for watching. All right. There you go. You're in Nate's spot. This is the Preacher podcast set. Welcome.
It did feel natural to be on this side.
It's because I always think this side because this is my good side. Secret. I got a secret. Okay.